The first time I saw seagrass was 20 years ago in the Johor River estuary. When I stepped out of the boat and looked around, I felt like I had stepped into a magical world. Creatures everywhere, hiding, hunting, eating. To me, this was like a secret garden in the sea. Hello, everyone. I'm Jillian Ooi. I'm a marine scientist at the University of Malaya. Back then, I was a master's student studying plants in the sea, and I remember thinking, why is it that I had never learned about seagrass when I was in school? In school, I learned about these. These are the names of grasses on land, depending on which continent they occur on. So, for example, savannas are grasslands in Africa, prairies in North America, pampas in South America, and the steppes in Eurasia. None of these are in Malaysia, and yet I knew about them. However, the one type of grassland that did occur in Malaysia, and in great abundance too, which would be the seagrass, I had never heard about. What makes this omission so incredible is that we are at the center of biodiversity for seagrass in the world. The shades of green on this map show the number of species. The darker the green, the more species. And here we are, Malaysia. Clearly, we sit in a seagrass biodiversity hotspot. In the world, we have around 70 species of seagrass. In Malaysia, 17 species, which is quite a lot for a single country. So, what exactly is seagrass? Seagrass is a marine flowering plant that evolved around 100 million years ago to live in the sea. It looks very much like the grass in your garden. It's green, it has leaves and roots, it has flowers and fruits. Now, when scientists want to tell the difference between species of seagrass, we look at leaf shape. Some seagrass have leaves that are round, like a spoon. Some have leaves that are long and flat, like a strap. And some have leaves that are long and cylindrical, like noodles. The smallest species of all are the spoon-shaped seagrass. Some of their leaves are the size of my fingernail, while the largest species comes up to around here, 1.5 meters in height. Fishermen in Malaysia call these rumput setu. They say that when there's a lot of setu, there'll be lots of fish. You'll get a good catch. Now, this species, setu, produces fruits that looks like a rambutan. And if you were to split it open, you'd see seeds in it, each the size of a grape. Those seeds can be eaten. They're crunchy, a little bit like salty chestnuts. Now, I need you to remember this point because I'll come back to it later. I know I'm crazy about seagrass, but not many people feel the same way. People dismiss it. It's just grass. It's been described as the forgotten ecosystem or the poorer cousin of coral reefs because, coral reefs are more well-known and people assume coral reefs have way more marine creatures than seagrass. And once someone even asked me, well, if we can't eat seagrass, why do you even want to study it? To me, seagrass is like the Peter Parker of the sea. Do you all know who Peter Parker is? So Peter Parker is like a regular guy, right? Until you learn that he's Spider-Man. So ordinary at first glance, but a superhero at heart. And I think it's the same way with seagrass. People underestimate it. But those of us who study it, we see so clearly how it serves us silently and invisibly, but in deeply significant ways. So now what I like to do is to show you What is it that makes seagrass a true superhero? What does it actually do for us? So let me set the scene. This is a video of a seagrass meadow being munched on by a big, gentle creature. Do you know what this creature is? This is a dugong, one of the most well-known residents in seagrass meadows. You can see it eating the seagrass as it heads towards us, and very soon it'll rise to the surface of the water to take a breath of air. This video isn't from Malaysia, it's from Australia, but it gives us a unique glimpse into what it looks like when a dugong comes right into a meadow to feed. Now let's talk about the dugong. The dugong is a marine mammal that feeds almost exclusively on seagrass. People call it a sea cow because it feeds on grass just like cows do on land. It eats a lot. One dugong can eat up to 40 kilograms of seagrass in a day. That would be like eating 400 bowls of rice every single day. Now remember those seeds of the satu that I introduced to you earlier? According to local legend, those seeds gave birth to the dugong. And here's the story of how that happened. Once upon a time, there was a pregnant woman who had a very strong craving for the seeds of the satu. So she waited for the tide to go down over the seagrass meadow. And when the tide went down, she started walking out to the seagrass. She got so engrossed picking and eating the fruits and the seeds of the satu that she completely lost track of time. By the time she realized it, it was too late. The tide had already come back in and she couldn't return to shore. So she transformed into a dugong. I suppose if you look at a dugong from afar with its rounded body, it could look like a pregnant woman, maybe. Now, these creatures are very shy, and it's almost impossible to approach them underwater to study them, but they leave us clues. When they eat, they vacuum up the seagrass and sediment into their mouth while they swim slowly over the seabed, leaving these bare feeding trails behind. Now, by studying these feeding trails, we've been able to figure out that they prefer to eat small seagrass, probably because it's easier for them to digest. Now, in case you're wondering what it tastes a bit like bean sprouts, tauge. The lesson that we learned here is that wherever we have this small seagrass around, those areas are likely to be dugong feeding areas. And so, it is very important to protect them. Now, from something large like the dugong, let's zoom into something much smaller. In the secret gardens of the sea, I have two favorite animals, the goby fish and the burrowing shrimp. The burrowing shrimp is a master digger. It's constantly working its burrow with its strong claws, but it's almost blind. Every time it steps out of its hole, it risks being eaten. This is where the goby fish come in. The goby fish has excellent eyesight, but it can't dig. So, in exchange for a room in the burrow, it serves as the shrimp's bodyguard. While the shrimp works, it places one antenna on the tail of the goby fish. And if the fish sees danger approaching, it flicks its tail to warn the shrimp, and the shrimp retreats into its burrow. So, one can't see, but it can dig. One can't dig, but it can see. Together, they survive And we can learn from this. We are stronger when we depend on each other. If you were to look closely at the leaves of a seagrass, you'd see many tiny dots and twirls and swirls. Those would be eggs, fish eggs, snail eggs. When we put down videos into the seagrass meadows of Johor, we found that there were 3 times more baby fish than adults. And scientists elsewhere also found the same thing in Terengganu, in Sarawak, in Australia, in the Caribbean. This is why we call seagrass meadows the kindergartens of the sea. Here is where many marine creatures, including fish, come to lay their eggs, and those eggs hatch, and the baby fish linger in the seagrass meadows, looking for food, hiding from predators. And it's only when they grow much older and larger that they move away to other ecosystems, such as coral reefs and mangrove forests, where we catch them for food, never realizing that they began their life in seagrass. But the story doesn't end there. When we compared the type of fish found in seagrass to those found in coral reefs, we found something really cool. The most common fish found in coral reefs were beautiful. They were colorful, they were flamboyant, they were dazzling. But the fish found in seagrass, not so much. They were dull, they were plain looking, nothing much to look at, except for one thing. These are the fish that we eat as food. So if you want beautiful fish, look to the coral reefs. If you want fish for food, look to the seagrass. In Johor, I've walked out to the seagrass meadow at low tide with the local communities, the local villagers, who collect seafood from the meadow. They are called gleaners. Gleaning means collecting food such as crabs, snails, and clams with your bare hands or with very basic fishing gear. Most of the families who glean in seagrass meadows have very limited livelihood options. Once, we met an indigenous couple, a husband and wife. They were wading and swimming in the river in chest-height water, following the river as it went down over the seagrass meadow. They were not strong swimmers. In fact, the wife was clearly fearful, and still they were there because that is how much the food in the seagrass meadow meant to them. So you see, to the many families who glean in them, seagrass meadows represent survival. But the bad news is they are fast declining. Every 30 minutes, we lose seagrass meadows equivalent to the size of one football field. When we pollute our rivers and seas, we lose seagrass. When we build artificial islands by filling in the seabed, also known as land reclamation, we lose seagrass. When we use destructive fishing methods such as trawling the seabed, we lose seagrass. Here's what keeps me up at night. If we were to continue to lose seagrass, we will also lose all the animals that call them home. The dugongs, the goby fish, the burrowing shrimp. The kindergartens of the sea will be gone, and along with it, our food from the sea. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine losing this? Look, your favorite seafood that we love to eat so much as Malaysians. Can you imagine losing this, that all this is gone? One of the ways I've been trying to tackle this problem is by reaching out to people, not just through science, but through the arts. This is me on stage telling the story of seagrass through music, because scientific facts alone can and will fade. But if people hear a story and experience a story through the arts, be it dance or music or poetry or theatre, they are more likely to feel it and to remember it. When I'm not studying seagrass, I'm a musician. I play the Malay gamelan with a group called Rhythm and Bronze. In fact, I've been playing the gamelan longer than I've been studying seagrass. Gamelan is a type of music that's unique to Southeast Asia, including Malaysia. And we create melodies on it by striking gongs or pots or plates made out of bronze. This group, Rhythm and Bronze, was established in 1997 to create fresh new music for the Malaysian gamelan. But the more we performed, the more we realized that we didn't just want to entertain people. We wanted to educate them about things close to our hearts. And in this case, it was seagrass. So in 2023, my friends and I developed a gamelan music theatre show called Seruan Setu, Secret Gardens of the Sea. In this performance, we had 10 gamelan music pieces, all about seagrass. And each of them was accompanied by either dance or animation or shadow play. And then in between those music pieces, we slipped in short science talks about seagrass, similar to what I'm giving to you now. The audience didn't expect this. They thought they were there for a regular music show. But by the time they realized that our true intention was to educate them about seagrass, it was too late. They were already hooked. So let me share a few moments from the performance with you. The response was overwhelming. One member of the audience said, "You do not have to be smart to watch the show, but you will be smarter after watching it." Another said, "I recalled the facts learned in this show better than in science talks." So this is the power of blending the arts with science. People don't just hear it, they remember it. And this is why I believe that saving seagrass isn't just about data and science. It's also about stories, about emotions, about connections. Because when people care, they will take action. And this is how we will save the secret gardens of the sea. It is time to give seagrass the recognition it deserves. I hope that today is not the end, but just the beginning, and that you'll carry seagrass with you. Learn about it, ask about it, talk to others about it, or if you can, sing about it, dance about it, write poetry about it, spread their stories far and wide, because this is how change begins, by knowing, by caring, and then by taking action. Thank you.